of Genesis. I am on chapter 18, Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah. Then the men rose up and looked toward Sodom. Abraham went with them to see them on their way. Then the Lord said, "Should I hide from Abraham what I am doing? Since Abraham will surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth will be blessed in him. I chose him, and he will instruct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing righteousness and justice, so that the Lord may bring to Abraham what he promised him." Then the Lord said, "Because the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grave, I will go down and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has come to me. If not, I will know." The men turned away from there and went toward Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham drew near and said, "Shall you also destroy the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous in the city? Shall you also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous who are in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing as this, to slay the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous should be treated like the wicked. Far be it from you. Should not the judge of all the earth do right?" So the Lord said, "If I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare the entire place for their sakes." Then Abraham answered and said, "I, who am but dust and ashes, have taken it upon myself to speak to the Lord. Suppose there were 5 less than the 50 righteous. Will you destroy all city for lack of 5? And he said, "If I find 45 there, I will not destroy it." And he spoke to him yet again and said, "Suppose there will be 40 found there." So he said, "I will not do it for the sake of 40. Then he said to him, "Let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Suppose there will be 30 found there." Again he said, "I will not do it if I find 30 there." He said, "Behold, I have undertaken to speak to the Lord. Suppose 20 are found there." He said, "I will not destroy it for the sake of 20. Then he said, "Let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak only once more. Suppose 10 will be found there." Then he said, "I will not destroy it for the sake of 10. So the Lord went his way as soon as he had stopped speaking to Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed. Now the 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting at the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. Then he said, "Here, my lords, please turn in to your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet, and then you may rise early and go your way." They said, "No, we will stay in the open square all night." But he strongly insisted. So they turned aside with him and entered his house. Then he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. Before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both old and young, all the people from every quarter, surrounded the house. They then called to Lot and said to him, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we may have relations with them." So Lot went out through the door to them and shut the door behind him. Then he said, "Please, my brothers, do not act so wickedly. Look, I have 2 daughters who have not yet been with a man. Please, let me bring them out to you, and you may do to them as you wish. Only do nothing to these men, for they have come under the shelter of my roof." But they replied, "Stand back." Also they said, "This man came here as an alien, and he keeps acting like a judge. We will deal worse with you than with them." So they pressed hard against Lot and came close to breaking down the door. But the men reached out their hands and pulled Lot into the house with them and shut the door. Then they struck the men that were at the door of the house, both small and great, with blindness, so that they wore themselves out, groping for the door. Then the men said to Lot, "Have you anyone else here? Sons-in-law, sons, daughters, or anyone you have in the city, take them out of this place. For we are about to destroy this place, because the outcry against this people has grown great before the presence of the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it." So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law who had married his daughters and said, "Get up, get out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city." But to his sons-in-law he seemed to be joking. When the morning dawned, the angels urged Lot, saying, "Arise, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, otherwise you will be consumed in the punishment of this city." And while he lingered, the men took hold of his and his wife's hands, along with the hands of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful to him, and brought him out and set him outside of the city. When they had brought them out, one of them said to them, "Escape for your lives. Do not look behind you or stay anywhere in the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest you be destroyed." Then Lot said to them, "Please, no, my lords. Your servant has found grace in your eyes, and you have shown your mercy, which you have shown to me by saving my life. However, I cannot escape to the mountain, otherwise some evil will overtake me and I will die. Look, this city is close enough to flee to, and it is a little one. Please, let me escape there. Is it not a little one? And my life will be saved." He said to him, "I have granted your request in this matter also. I will not overthrow this city of which you have spoken. Hurry, escape there, for I cannot do anything until you arrive there." Therefore the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun had risen over the land when Lot entered Zoar. Then the Lord rained brimstone and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah. It was from the Lord out of heaven. So he overthrew those cities, all the valley, all the inhabitants of the cities, and what grew on the ground. But his wife behind him looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Now Abraham got up early in the morning and went to the place where he stood before the Lord. Then he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the valley, and he saw the smoke of the land going up like the smoke of a furnace. So it was that when God destroyed the cities of the valley, God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the middle of the destruction when he overthrew the cities in which Lot lived. Lot and his daughters. Then Lot left Zoar and lived in the mountains, along with his 2 daughters who were with him, for he was afraid to dwell in Zoar. He and his 2 daughters lived in a cave. And the firstborn said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there is no man on the earth to have relations with us after the manner of all the earth. Let us make our father drink wine, and let us lie with him, so that we may preserve the lineage of our father." So they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and had relations with her father. He did not know when she lay down or when she arose. On the next day, the firstborn said to the younger, "Indeed, last night I had relations with my father. Let us make him drink wine tonight also, so that you may go in and have relations with him, so that we may preserve the lineage of our father." So they made their father drink wine that night also. Then the younger arose and lay down with him, and he did not know when she lay down or when she arose. Therefore both the daughters of Lot were pregnant by their father. The firstborn bore a son, and his name was Moab. He is the father of the Moabites to this day. The younger also gave birth to a son, and his name was called Ben-Ami. He is the father of the Ammonites to this day. Abraham and Abimelech. Abraham journeyed from there toward the Negev, settled between Kadesh and Shur. And then he sojourned to Gerar. Then Abraham said about Sarah, his wife, "She is my sister." So Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent for her and took Sarah. But God came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, You are a dead man because of the woman whom you have taken, for she is a man's wife. Abimelech had not gone near her, and he said, Lord, will you slay a righteous nation? Did he not say to me, she is my sister? And did not even she herself say, he is my brother? In the integrity of my heart and innocence of my hands, I have done this. And God said to him in a dream, yes, I know that you did this in the integrity of your heart, for I also kept you from sinning against me. Therefore, I did not let you touch her. Therefore, return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you. Moreover, you will live. However, if you do not return her, know that you will surely die, you and all who are yours. So Abimelech rose early in the morning and called all his servants and told them all these things, and the men were very afraid. Then Abimelech called Abraham and said to him, what have you done to us? How have I offended you that you would bring on me and on my kingdom a great sin? You have done things to me that should not have been done. Then Abimelech said to Abraham, what were you thinking of, that you did this thing? Abraham said, because I thought, surely there is no fear of God in this place, and they will slay me because of my wife. Still, indeed, she is my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother. She became my wife. When God caused me to travel from my father's house, I said to her, this is your kindness, which you must show me. Every place where we go, say concerning me, he is my brother. Then Abimelech took sheep, oxen, and male and female servants, and gave them to Abraham, and returned his wife Sarah to him. Abimelech said, my land is before you, settle wherever it pleases you. To Sarah he said, I have given your brother 1,000 shekels of silver. It is a sign of your innocence in the eyes of all who are with you, and before everyone you are vindicated. So Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his female servants. Then they bore children. For the Lord had closed up the wombs of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. The birth of Isaac. The Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age at the set time that God had spoken to him. Abraham called the name of his son who was born to him, whom Sarah bore to him, Isaac. Then Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded him. Now Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. And Sarah said, God has made me laugh. All who hear will laugh with me. Also she said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age. Hagar and Ishmael depart. So the child grew and was weaned. Then Abraham made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned. Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, mocking. Therefore she said to Abraham, throw out this slave woman and her son, for the son of this slave woman shall not be heir with my son Isaac. This matter was very displeasing to Abraham's sight because of his son. But God said to Abraham, do not be upset concerning the boy and your slave wife. Whatever Sarah has said to you, listen to what she says, for in Isaac your descendants will be called. Yet I will also make a nation of the son of the slave woman, because he is your offspring. So Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water and gave it to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, and sent her away with the child. So she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was gone, she placed the child under one of the shrubs. Then she went and sat down across from him at a distance of about a bow shot, for she said to herself, "Let me not see the death of the child." She sat across from him and lifted up her voice and wept. And God heard the boy's voice. Then the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven and said to her, "What is the matter with you, Hagar? Do not be afraid, for God has heard the voice of the boy where he is. Arise, pick up the boy, and hold him in your hands, for I will make him a great nation." Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. And she went and filled the skin with water and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy, and he grew and lived in the wilderness and became an archer. He lived in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother found a wife for him out of the land of Egypt. Now it came to pass, the treaty with Abimelech. Now it came to pass at that time that Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his army, spoke to Abraham, saying, "God is with you in all that you do. Now, therefore, swear to me by God that you will not deal deceitfully with me, or with my children, or with my descendants. Instead, according to the kindness that I have shown to you, you will show to me and to the land where you have lived." Abraham said, "I will swear." Then Abraham complained to Abimelech about a well of water that Abimelech's servants had violently seized. And Abimelech said, "I do not know who has done this. You did not tell me, and I have not heard of it until today." So Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them to Abimelech, and the two of them made a covenant. Then Abraham set the lambs of the flock by themselves. And Abimelech said to Abraham, "What is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs that you have set by themselves?" And he said, "You shall take these 7 ewe lambs from my hand, so that they may be a witness that I have dug this well." Therefore he called that place Beersheba, because the 2 of them swore an oath there. Thus they made a covenant at Beersheba. Then Abimelech rose with Phicol, the commander of his army, and they returned to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there he called on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines many days. The sacrifice of Isaac. After these things, God tested Abraham and said to him, "Abraham." And he said, "Here I am." Then he said, "Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I will tell you." So Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac his son, and he split the wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place that God had told him. Then on the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place from a distance. Abraham said to his young men, "Stay here with the donkey. The boy and I will go over there and worship, and then return to you." So Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand and the knife. So the 2 of them walked on together. But Isaac spoke to Abraham his father and said, "My father." And he said, "Here I am, my son." Then he said, "Here is the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Abraham said, "My son, God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering." So the 2 of them went together. Then they came to the place that God had told him. So Abraham built an altar and arranged the wood. And he bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar on the wood. Then Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. The angel of the Lord called to him out of heaven and said, "Abraham." And he said, "Here I am." Then he said, "Do not lay your hands on the boy or do anything to him, because now I know that you fear God, seeing you have not withheld your only son from me." Then Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behind him was a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. So Abraham went and took the ram and offered him as a burnt offering in the place of his son. Abraham called the name of that place, "The Lord will provide." As it is said to this day, "In the mounts of the Lord it will be provided." Then the angel of the Lord called to Abraham out of heaven a second time and said, "By myself I have sworn, says the Lord, because you have done this thing and have not withheld your son, your only son. I will indeed bless you, and I will indeed multiply your descendants as the stars of the heavens and as the sand that is on the seashore. Your descendants will possess the gate of their enemies. Through your offspring all the nations of the earth will be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice." So Abraham returned to his young men, and they arose and went together to Beersheba. Then Abraham lived at Beersheba. After these things, Abraham was told, "Milcah has also borne children to your brother Nahor, Uz his firstborn, Buz his brother, Kemuel the father of Aram, Kezed, Hazo, Pildash, Jilaph, and Bethuel. Bethuel became the father of Rebekah. Milcah gave birth to these eight to Nahor, Abraham's brother. His concubine, whose name was Ramah, also bore Teba, Tahash, and Makah. The death of Sarah. Sarah lived 127 years. Hi, Sarah. These were the years of the life of Sarah. Then Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham went in to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Then Abraham stood up from before his dead and spoke to the Hittites, saying, "I am a stranger and a foreigner among you. Give me property for a burying place among you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight." So the Hittites answered Abraham, "Hear us, my lord. You are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial places. None of us will withhold from you this burial place, that you may bury your dead." Then Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, the Hittites. He spoke with them, saying, "If it be your wish that I bury my dead out of my sight, hear me and entreat Ephron, the son of Zohar, for me, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he owns, at the end of his field. Let him give it to me in your presence for the full price of a burial site." Now Ephron was sitting among the Hittites, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the presence of all the Hittites, all who went in at the gate of his city, saying, "No, my lord, hear me. I give you the field and the cave that is in it. I give it to you in the presence of the sons of my people. Bury your dead." Then Abraham bowed before the people of the land. Then he spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, "Indeed, if you will give it, please hear me. I will give you money for the field. Take it from me, and I will bury my dead there." Then Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, "My lord, listen to me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between me and you? So bury your dead." Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out for Ephron 400 shekels of silver, the price that he had named in the hearing of the Hittites, according to the standard commercial measure. So the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave was in it, and all the trees that were in the field that were within all the surrounding borders were deeded to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the Hittites before all who went in at the gate of his city. After this, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of the field of Machpelah before Mamre. that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. So the field and the cave that was in it were deeded to Abraham by the Hittites as property for a burial place. Isaac and Rebekah. Now Abraham was old, well advanced in age, and the Lord had blessed Abraham. Hi. Shalom, shalom, homies. Had blessed him in all things. So Abraham said to his servant, the oldest of his household, who was in charge over all that he had, please place your hand under my thigh. So I will make you swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of the earth, that you will not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I live. But you shall go to my country and to my family and take a wife for my son Isaac. Then the servant said to him, perhaps the woman will not be willing to follow me to this land. Must I take your son back to the land from which you came? Abraham said to him, see to it that you do not take my son back there. The Lord God of heaven, who took me from my father's family and from the land of my relatives, and who spoke to me and swore to me, saying, to your descendants I will give this land, he shall send his angel before you, and you shall take a wife for my son there. If the woman is not willing to follow you, then you will be free from my oath. Only do not take my son back there. So the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham, his master, and swore to him concerning this matter. Then the servant took 10 of his master's camels and departed, for all the goods of his master were in his hand. And he arose and went to the city of Nahor in Aram Naharaim. He made his camels kneel down outside the city by a well of water in the evening when the women came to draw water. Then he said, O Lord, the God of my master Abraham, please let me have success this day and show kindness to my master Abraham. See, here I stand by the well of water, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming out to draw water. Let it be that the young woman to whom I shall say, please lower your pitcher that I may drink, and she shall say, drink, and I will give your camels water also. Let her be the one that you have appointed for your servant Isaac. Then I will know that you have shown kindness to my master. Before he had finished speaking, Rebekah, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with a pitcher on her shoulder. The young woman was very beautiful to look at, a virgin, and no man had ever been with her. She went down to the well and filled her pitcher and came up. Then the servant ran to meet her and said, please let me drink a little water from your pitcher. So she said, drink, my lord. Then she quickly let down her pitcher. It's okay. It's okay, buddy. It's Luca. Luca is protecting me. Good job. Then the servant ran to meet her and said, please let me drink a little water from your pitcher. So she said, drink, my lord. Then she quickly let down her pitcher to her hand and gave him a drink. When she had finished giving him a drink, she said, I will draw water for your camels also, until they have finished drinking. Then she quickly emptied her pitcher into the trough and ran to the well to draw water and drew for his camels. The man, gazing at her, remained silent, trying to discern whether the Lord had made his journey a success or not. When the camels had finished drinking, the man took a gold nose ring of 1/2 shekel weight and 2 bracelets for her wrists of 10 shekels weight in gold, and said, whose daughter are you? Please tell me, is there room in your father's house for us to lodge? She said to him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, whom she bore to Nahor. Again she said to him, We have both straw and provision enough, and room in which to lodge. Then the man bowed down his head and worshiped the Lord. And he said, Blessed be the Lord God of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his mercy and his truth toward my master. As for me, the Lord led me to the house of my master's relatives. So the young woman ran and told her mother's household of these things. Now Rebekah had a brother whose name was Laban, and Laban ran out to the man at the well. When he saw the nose ring and bracelets on his sister's hands, and when he heard the words of Rebekah his sister, saying, This is what the man said to me, he went to the man who stood by the camels at the well, and he said, Come in, blessed of the Lord. Why do you stand outside? I have prepared the house and a place for the camels. So the man came to the house. Then he unloaded his camels and gave straw and provision to the camels and water to wash his feet and the feet of the men who were with him. He then set food before him to eat, but he said, I will not eat until I have told about my errand. And he said, Speak on. So he said, I am Abraham's servant. The Lord has greatly blessed my master, and he has become wealthy. He has given him flocks and herds and silver and gold and male and female servants and camels and donkeys. Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master when she was old, and he has given to him all that he has. My master made me swear, saying, You must not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I live. But you shall go to my father's house and to my relatives and take a wife for my son. So I said to my master, Perhaps the woman will not follow me. Then he said to me, The Lord before whom I walk will send his angel with you and prosper your way, and you will take a wife for my son, from my relatives, and from my father's house. You will be free from my oath when you come to my family, if they will not give her to you. Then you will be released from my oath. So today I came to the well and said, O Lord, the God of my master Abraham, if you will now give me success in my task. I am standing by the well of water, and let it be that when the virgin comes forth to draw water, and I say to her, Please give me a little water from your pitcher to drink, she will say, Drink, and I will also draw for your camels. Let her be that woman whom the Lord has appointed for my master's son. Before I had finished speaking in my heart, there was Rebekah coming out with her pitcher on her shoulder, and she went down to the well and drew water. Then I said to her, Please let me drink. Then she quickly let down her pitcher from her shoulder and said, Drink, and I will give your camels a drink also. So I drank, and she gave the camels a drink also. Then I asked her, Whose daughter are you? And she said, The daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bore for him. So I put the nose ring on her nose and the bracelets on her wrists, and I bowed down my head and worshipped the Lord, and blessed the Lord God of my master Abraham, who had led me in the right way to take the daughter of my master's brother for his son. And now, if you will deal kindly and truly with my master, tell me, and if not, tell me, so that I may turn to the right hand or to the left. Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, This thing comes from the Lord. We cannot speak to you bad or good. Here is Rebekah before you. Take her and go, and let her be the wife of your master's son, as the Lord has spoken. When Abraham's servant heard their words, he worshipped the Lord, bowing himself to the earth. Then the servant brought out jewels of silver and gold and clothing and gave them to Rebekah. He also gave precious things to her brother and to her mother. Then they ate and drank, he and the men who were with him, and stayed all night. The next morning they arose, and he said, Send me away to my master. But her brother and her mother said, Let the young woman remain with us a few days, at least 10. After that she may go. So he said to them, Do not delay me, seeing the Lord has given me success. Let me go, that I may go to my master. They said, We will call the girl and ask her. Then they called Rebekah and said to her, "Will you go with this man?" And she said, "I will go." So they sent away Rebekah, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant and his men. They blessed Rebekah and said to her, "May you, our sister, become the mother of thousands of 10,000s, and may your descendants possess the gate of those who hate them." Then Rebekah and her maids arose, and they rode on the camels and followed the man. So the servant took Rebekah and went his way. Now Isaac came from the way of Beer Lahai Roi, for he lived in the Negev. Isaac went out in the evening to meditate in the field, and he lifted up his eyes and looked, and surely the camels were coming. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she dismounted from her camel and said to the servant, "Who is this man walking the field to meet us?" The servant said, "It is my master." Therefore she took a veil and covered herself. Then the servant told Isaac all the things he had done. So Isaac brought her into the tent of his mother Sarah, and he took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. So Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. The death of Abraham. Then Abraham took another wife, whose name was Keturah, and she bore him Zimrah, Jokshan, Madon, Midian, Ishbak, and Shuah. Jokshan was the father of Sheba and Dedan. The descendants of Dedan were Asherites and Lechushites and the Limites. The sons of Midian were Ephah, Epher, Hanok, Abidah, and Eldah. All these were the children of Keturah. Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac, but to the sons of his concubines Abraham gave gifts, and while he was still living, he sent them away from his son Isaac eastward to the east country. These are the years of Abraham's life that he lived, 175 years. Then Abraham breathed his last and died at a good old age, an old man and full of years, and he was gathered to his people. His sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar, the Hittite, east of Mamre, the field that Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth. Okay, I'm going to stop here and I'll be back. Hi.
I didn't